Hello there and welcome to another one. I trust I find you in good spirits. My name is Tatenda, back with another one. It's Game On, episode 9, baby. Hero is here, Pumza is here, and the most important one is next to me. And before the camera goes to him, this man is, one, very punctual. I think of all the guests that have been here, all of them have been coming. Pila was here and it was a rush and this and that. And this man was here 45 minutes before. Hero, that's a round of applause, bro.
Even I was early. Even I was early today.
Oh, wow.
What about me?
Hero was on time, for the first time. An hour. Jesse. Well done, bro.
I should drink.
Good on you.
Yeah, so fine.
Inconsistency, exactly. Anyway, before we get pulled away, ladies and gentlemen, meet Mr. Bryan Patel. Hello, sir.
Evening, how you guys doing?
Lekker, thank you. Nice of you to join us. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Like I said, this is Game On Podcast, and what we are trying to achieve is trying to give a spotlight to every gentleman that is making a difference in this life, and in this case, with regards to cricket and sport in general. So from development to grassroots level to all the way to the pros, we want to hear what everyone has to say, or the people that are behind everything. We see a lot of things. Yes, you get a player that's going to play for the Proteas, but no one really understands how did they get there, you understand? Or maybe they may understand how they got there, but they don't know who was there to ensure that these people are there, and that's why you decided to come through. So a massive shout out to Aya. I don't know what he told you, but here we have fun.
Hey, no, for sure. You told me you have fun, but you also throw some guys under. But don't worry, there's no buses here.
Also, no buses, exactly. No traffic, so we're good. Anyway, thank you so much for taking your time. I know you're a busy man, and for you to share with us, and whatever that is going to be shared here is going to develop the viewer as much as it's going to develop me and Hero and Pumza that are in the studio right now. So thank you. Massive shout out.
It's a pleasure.
Awesome stuff. And you're drinking your water, bro.
No, for sure.
Anyway, we always come up with icebreaker questions.
Okay.
And the reason for icebreaker questions is to make sure that we warm the room up. And I understand that you're a celebrity, so you're used to these things, bro. So don't stress about it. So we've got 5 questions that we're going to ask. There's just to warm. It's a game, like I say. So some of them you're going to laugh. Some of them you're going to think twice. But you don't have the right to your Fifth Amendment to say no comment. So for these 5, you can. For anything else that we're going to throw in, maybe. Yes, we can say no. So the first question is, never, ever, ever. So it's a game, never, ever, ever. So obviously, if you haven't, we'll judge you. If you have, we'll still judge you. So never, ever, ever stalked an ex on social media.
Hey.
Yeah,
I have.
Everybody does it.
Hey, so I always say when you stalk them or when you check on them, are you hoping that they are not happy?
We're just checking to see if they're still around. Are they still breathing? They're still around.
So that means you still like them then?
Maybe. You start doubting, you start thinking, was it the right decision first? So that's the one. Then you start checking and saying, but maybe they're happy, maybe they're not happy. Maybe they're still missing you also. So you check, are they checking you also?
Also you are sort of hoping that they're missing you as well.
Sometimes they go through that motions. As a guy also, you go through that and it's like that remembrance that you have. And that is where you start saying, the memories sometimes start to fade, but you gotta move on.
What if you've already moved on and you're happy with who you've got?
Then I won't check.
Bro. Never have I ever kissed my female bestie.
You? I have.
They say that having a female bestie is like having a chicken as a pet.
Eish.
One day you're gonna eat it.
And it's the truth, huh?
You eat it, right? You eat it, yeah. Awesome stuff. Number 3, never have I ever slid into someone's DM.
Yeah.
How was it in there?
Hey guy, it gets tough sometimes, but you know.
Do you win that?
You're winning. Winning is the way you know.
So Yaro, get in the DMs, bro.
It's how you slide.
Yeah.
Yes. Also,
How you
don't
like?
just get in there and say, hey, how you doing?
No,
Beautiful.
You must state your case quick and early. This is hey, hi, how are you? Hey, hi. It doesn't work. Just get there. Say hello. State your case in a long paragraph or a nice neat paragraph. Keep it nice and concise. Get straight to the point. And then if she responds, then
Sorted.
Away
There we go.
Free advice. Free advice.
Free advice from Hero here.
Any cricketer that has guababa, free advice, just drop it. A short sentence, just a short paragraph.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. State your case.
Yeah.
Number 4, never ever dropped my phone in a toilet.
Never.
Good man. I know. The last time I asked a woman, she said she did. Men don't drop phones. We're not that stupid.
We got skills, most.
Skills.
They say women can multitask, we can do
We
the same.
can do the same.
Yeah.
But they think that their multitasking is better than ours or theirs is better. No, we can multitask. Skills.
I won't lie though, I once dropped my phone in front of the roller.
Ooh.
When I was rolling the deck.
Ooh. And you see the phone just...
I just heard...
And you can't stop it.
No, too late.
It's too late.
Because I'm rolling, so it fell. I was rolling backwards, so it just fell, and then by the time I looked at it,
It's gone.
I couldn't even change
And
it.
it will crash, man. It will crash. Yo, that's painful.
My heart, guys.
The last one, never ever fake liked a girl. Or fake loved a lady, yes. What were you hoping to achieve, bro?
Maybe at the time it's companionship, man.
Yeah, then they think that is more than that.
Yeah, they think it's more than that. And then from there, that is where feelings, and that is where I think the realization of, hurting a girl at the same time for the expectation.
Okay.
That is where it comes in, and then you realize that, what, the expectation or the intention needs to be made up front. So that you can start seeing, and there's nothing that is, like you said earlier, the best friend.
Yeah.
So now it's like this one here, you say, what? We can be friends, but
I don't like you that way.
Yeah.
I don't like you in that manner. Yeah. But then at the same time, females are emotional. So if you're that guy that's listening to them, then you're the one. You're the one. Yeah. Have you ever ghosted anybody?
Yes.
Ooh. Cricket boys, cricket boys.
They say you got to duck the short ball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you need to duck it, otherwise it's gonna stay right here.
Hey,
wow.
Sure.
So Bryan, those were the icebreaker questions, and just to warm the room up, and I think the room is quite warm.
It's warm. It's heating.
Heating out. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on here.
Man.
I like that analogy. Sometimes you just gotta duck the short one.
Exactly. You don't have to play the pull shot. You really don't.
Yeah,
have to.
it's a top edge and it's trouble.
Yes.
So just get out the way.
Just leave it. Let it go to keeper.
Thanks,
What up, mate? Yeah,
pitch it
good
up, man. I've
stuff.
got no time to pull it.
Anyway, if stuff like this interests you, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. That way, the next person is going to hear more about Bryan, more about the stuff that we're trying to achieve as a unit, as a collective. And the reason being, when you like, YouTube is going to push this video for the next person to hear about it. And sharing, obviously, the next person is going to hear about it. So share it with your circles, your friends, and your friends' friends. The banner below is for you to advertise your company. So as you advertise your stuff, or as our listeners hear about your company, we get a kickback, you get your customers. So it's a win-win situation. So let's get the ball rolling, and Bryan is here, and I don't know who Bryan is, so so let's get right into it. The first question that anyone would ask, and especially with Aya being our content producer, is you will tell us that, gents, I am bringing so and so. And immediately when you said Bryan, I was like, that's the man. But I know you, the person that is across me, Pumza doesn't know you. And she also wants to, like, who's this celebrity dude that is here? And full of smiles, full of life. I think you brought an energy that we didn't have in here. So thank you for that. But the question that I always come to, and I don't want to ask that question, but unfortunately it's part of the game, is who is Bryan? In your own words, from your profession, personal to professional.
Okay, so Bryan is somebody that is passionate, is true. What you see is what you get. Up front, somebody that is genuine to the core. Someone that is not going to come in and either, try and buy face with somebody. We'll be up front. We're here for a purpose. And the purpose for me in life is always to serve people not being servants to people. So when we say that it's like leadership, we need to lead, but at the same time we have to be servants in the game and servants in life, to see and help people along the way. It's not all about you as an individual. It's about the people around you, no matter where you are, whether you're a CEO, whether you're somebody that is on the street. You are there for a purpose, and we need to then appreciate you. So values come a long way with me. That is something that was instilled with me from a very young age. So home life is very important. Family life is important. Morals, beliefs that's instilled with you from a young age. These are your foundations and grounding points. And at the same time, you look at it, and people that come from either broken homes, you see that there's a lacking within this space. So you become that support structure to them in understanding individuals. From there, it's all about just, passion. I'm a person that is also very strong on education. So even my family, very strong on education. Mom and dad being there, went through to university, got degrees, even got my international diploma in computer studies. So these are the background basics that we try and push within the cricketing sphere now. And in that sphere, we're saying now, moving for me into cricket, from a young age, I was introduced to cricket at about 5 years old. We were on holiday actually, and my dad bought he bought a cricket set from Game. And it was just to keep me active. And that was the key. When we bought it, we went through, we played on the beach, and the stories he tells me also, that I remember vividly him bowling and me hitting the ball, but saying he needs to bowl normally. He mustn't roll the ball to me.
Wow.
And since then, my father and I formed that bond, and he's been there, the support structure, taking me to practices with my mom, making sure that these things are always, I have the support.
Yeah.
And that, that is what we see many of the learners that are in our space don't have. They don't have the support or parental support, especially from your hub structure side. And I came through the hub structure as well as a player. And with parents being there, constantly involved in that space, that is where you see, broken homes, families, children that don't sleep on normal beds. They sleep on the floor. You don't know if they had meals to eat before they come to play practice. This is where we're saying at the same time, it's not about just performance. It's not about selection to provincial teams, but it's about bettering people's lives. And I think that has had a big impact in my development. Even I have a sister, older sister, so her support also in this movement of me playing, she'd always be there. Club cricket, she started scoring just on me being involved in cricket. So she then traveled also SA Games. And when we look at it, we are very tight family, so we're very close. And it's about cricket, sport, anything across the board. It's open channels that we communicate. And, when it goes through, the passion behind it that you're saying, I want to make a difference. And the thing is, in cricket, we always say that we don't want to reinvent the game, but we're saying, how do we then make it better? How do we take it forward to the next level, and then for the next person to pick it up and then take it forward from there?
Wow. Amazing how you say it's so important that you see a lot of broken families and education being a very good part of it. I've seen a lot of soccer kids that, yes, you're playing soccer and you're very good at soccer and you're going to represent your country and whatnot, only to find that 5-6 years down the line, they crumble. They get an injury, they've got no education to fall back on. But how then can South Africa make sure that the same thing that's happening within the cricket fraternity, having coaches that understand that in as much as, yes, you are hitting, you're getting hundreds every week, or you're bowling at 140, it's all fair and square, good for now. But if you don't have anything to fall back on, it's going to be tough. How then do we get that balance between cricket and, like you're saying, like I'm saying, in soccer, where go play soccer, as long as you can kick a ball and you score goals, that's fine. The rest doesn't really matter. Is it because the structures in cricket are different from the structures in soccer, where with soccer players, just go and play? With cricket, it is more to do with just bat and ball, but to do with your mental as well. Would you think that the soccer is not doing enough? I know you're not part of the soccer, but I'm just throwing this as a sports person to a sports person. How can we balance all spheres when it comes to South African sport, or less privileged backgrounds coming to to professional setups or to professional kind of playing the game, soccer, cricket, hockey, you name it?
So the key part that you mentioned there also is the involvement or the equalizing of it, and that comes also from SASCOC. So SASCOC being the direct line for all sporting codes within the country. And with that being said, it's all about the care factor. So care factor and education to our coaches. That is the important part in not saying, everybody's going to be the doctor, the lawyer.
Yeah.
But at the same time say, you know what, we need artisans. We need people within our actual social environment that can at least be a mechanic, fix a car.
Yeah.
Come along that area. But it comes down to our coaches also pushing that education aspect of how important it is to at least get something behind your name. An injury hits you today, your career is
screwed. Yeah.
And then you come back and you say, the game never did anything for me. And many people that have retired now without any educational background always look and try and coach. And you're saying at the same time, not all your good players are good coaches.
Are going to be good coaches, yes.
And this is where we're saying the knowledge that comes off from an individual on the experience, that is the important part.
Yeah.
And now where you're saying as coaches, we're coming into the space and you're saying, yes, we're coming in to coach you. But do we actually know what you need as an individual?
Because not one size fits all kind of vibe. Like, just because I used to play soccer well doesn't make me a good coach, like you say. And also, just because I'm coming and being a coach doesn't necessarily mean that this technique is going to work for that kid. That kid is different. That one does this. That one is slower. That one is quicker. But they're still all good in their own right. So I like what you're saying when you say it comes to coaching education as well. How are we impacting, or how are we empowering our coaches so that they can empower the next person? Surely you can't expect a less of a empowered coach to empower another player. That's impossible. At what point, Bryan, did you then say, you know what, 5 years from now, okay, this is 5-year-old Bryan, the dad is throwing underarms. But to me, what came to my mind is the relationship between father and son. That's very important, because in as much as that kid is being raised by mom, but then mom cannot throw balls. I've seen a lot of moms that are trying to, but they cannot throw balls because it's not in their nature. How important is that father-son relationship in building a cricketing career or a sporting career for a kid?
Parental involvement and father, especially father's side, it's very important. It's, it gives you the manly touch to it. Mums also from there come from a basis of the softer and caring side. Dads don't really come from that side, but they're more tough on you.
Yeah.
And when they come and they're tough on you, it's like whether you go in, and I vividly remember going to go and play cricket games and come back and dad, he said, how did it go? I said, hey, I scored a duck. Oh, why go out for a duck when you can go out for a chicken? So now he starts
teasing now. Yeah.
But now you also feel bad. Now you're like, and eventually you're like, and he's like, no, when you play cricket, and when you play cricket at a high level, they chirp you. Proper. So already now you're starting to plant that in, because we started playing time cricket. And prior to the show, Harry and I were talking about it in saying time cricket, how important it is, because that tests the mind, the body, the soul.
Does, yeah.
It makes sure. And going through that, as my dad would go through, I'd always say, Dad, but now I'm feeling a little down and things. And he'd sit me down and say, the reason I'm saying it is make you stronger mentally. Because these guys are going to come to you. You're only as good as your last innings. And that changed the mindset now. Good to say, I'm only as good as a duck. So if I go and I score one tomorrow, I'm good enough.
Then I'm good enough.
You see?
So
now, then that tells you, I just got to apply a little bit more. Apply the crease. Apply your mind. Watch the ball. So now you go through all these techniques, but it builds that character, of you as an individual. And that gets you going. And through that involvement and the discussions that you have, and him throwing balls, at times you'll say, okay, come bowl to me in the garden, I'll go bowl to him. He'll bowl to me, I'll be batting. And he say, no, that's 4-6, no LBW. Constantly he'll tell me, you're LBW candidate. And I'm like, hey, daddy, man, just keep on bowling. He's like, no, that's LB.
That's LB,
it's not LB. But that started getting me also conscious of footwork, body positions, where I'm standing. And this is where, you look at that relationship and you're saying, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but those that don't have, how do you then And now you look at the other aspect and you say, schoolyard cricket, street cricket. that is where you learn also away from it. If you don't have mom or dad or you have that environment, this is where you then bolster that, and it gives you street awareness of what's happening out there. So this is where we try and also say we've lost a lot of that over the years, of street cricket, guys playing in the street because of the social ills. So it's the kidnapping, it's all of these things that come about. But we're saying...
Can't play till 6:30 at night anymore.
True. And that's where we're saying, how do we get that balance coming back now? So CSA's come with Miso Cricket, which is a modified game, which we're trying to support also in pushing that characters and playing in that space and saying, it's not with full-on equipment, you can still play street cricket, you can play it anywhere, it's rules that are made.
I think I've seen a lot of that in India. India does that a lot, where
India, Pakistan,
in Pakistan, all those Asian countries,
Just to add, just to go back, sorry, so what we were chatting about how to change the construct around football. So fortunately enough, I've been privileged to work, I've coached semi-pro and amateur football at Randburg and at Donchester FC.
Yeah.
The thing is with football is, to an extent, it's not to put it in a bad way, it's a commoner sport. You don't need much to play football. You know, when we started playing football, like I see, it just plastic packets into a ball and
definitely, exactly. That took a of sugar and you quite,
You can do the same with cricket to an extent. You can have a wooden plank, but eventually
you're gonna need
some kind of equipment. By football, it's you just need a one soccer ball, and you can please 15 of 20 guys.
Why then is it difficult to encourage a soccer loving kid to love school? And it's tough. It's easier to coach a cricket loving or rugby loving kid to go to school.
I think because where it's available. Is football available at Cares?
No,
is
probably
football
not.
available at St. John's? Is football available at Michael House?
Because that is the impression that we're giving football. We're painting football with a wrong brush.
Historically, because of where we come from and apartheid and all of that.
Yeah.
Football is the outlet for. The reason why stadiums were full in the township is because we had nowhere else to be.
Nowhere else to go.
We couldn't go to Sentin to go shopping. So we went to Orlando Stadium to watch the football.
Go watch a soccer
That was our
match.
release. Those were our heroes. So it's hard because now those youngsters, you've got maybe 10, 12, 15 boys who aren't in a great environment. How do you then change the social ills? So my friend and I tried to start a team in Vosloorus. But it was difficult because we were both working, but when it's transport we're funding, then we have to feed them, then we have to get them drinks, then we have to organize football matches. It eventually become taxing. If my car breaks down that month,
then you're screwed.
Then I'm screwed because I'm not getting help from anyway. So it's a vicious cycle. And the other thing is that football clubs are selfish. So football doesn't go through schools. It's not like cricket and rugby. It's not going through schools. It's going through clubs. So you get spotted playing in the township. You get scouted by a football club, and a football club is like a business. They will exploit you if you're not.
But then, be that as it may, like coming back to cricket and the hubs, and we're gonna get into what you do exactly at Lions Cricket at CGL. With the hubs, we are saying we are in an era where we are giving opportunity to previously advantaged, right? Disadvantaged, yes, previously. But the thing is, how then can we say we are giving them an opportunity when these kids are coming from broken homes as it is? Because I still remember I went to Golden Bells. They had Jackie Maffei, he was running Golden Bells, and I went to his facility. They were doing it in an old tennis court, and none of the kids had kit and all that. Or the kit that they had was so broken and all that. So you can see that there is brokenness, yet there is willingness to play. Same thing with soccer. Yes, there is brokenness and there is a soccer ball, yet these kids are sort of like from two demographics. Yes, they are both from poor backgrounds or previously disadvantaged. I don't want to say poor. But the way they go about cricket and soccer is still different. Is it because the hub coaches have got enough information with regards to, it's not about me teaching you how to drive a ball only. It's me being a father to you, even though you're not my son. It's me being a mentor, a role model to you. Is it something that Cricket South Africa is doing, and what you guys are doing? And I'm going to get into what is it that you guys are doing that is different from what the soccer guys are doing?
So coming back to it, and a lot of it, what Harry has also mentioned, comes down to cost. So the cost for corks, to buy corks, much cheaper than cricket equipment, being 3, 4, 5,000 rand.
Yeah.
And coming down to corks could be about 700 rand. And when we look at it in that space, you look and you say cost effectiveness, parents are going to say, I'll rather go to soccer. And this is where we're seeing the majority of the township children going to soccer.
Rugby, Even rugby is an easier outlet,
Because it's a ball and no shoes.
We were
It's a
chatting
ball,
about
no
it
shoes.
the other day. Sorry, we were chatting about it. Aiden Markin GM Players Edition.
Short
Short-handed.
Yeah.
It's 19,000 19,000 rand.
For a bat.
Guys, that could
I
break
imagine,
tomorrow.
I just imagine telling my wife that, babe, I'm going to play cricket and I need a bat. How much is a bat, babe? 20 grand. You are crazy. You understand? Because she doesn't understand cricket.
Yeah.
And now for a parent to then say, I'm going to fork 5,000 rand for a bat, I'm not doing that.
Because you think about it, a decent, an ordinary cricket player's kit is about 10 grand.
Easy.
Just
Easy.
a club cricketer who's playing SU1, SU3.
Needs at least
it's about 10
10,000
grand.
rand.
Because
Yes.
the helmet's
Yeah.
2 grand.
Yeah.
A bat is 5 grand.
Yeah.
Pads are 2 grand. Gloves 2 grand.
So it's 10 grand.
You know, the only
Easy.
cheap thing is a box.
Yeah.
Box, you can, even a box must
Yeah,
be proper.
you're saying, Brian, but I want to come back to you and Dad. You playing cricket. Obviously, Dad understood cricket.
Actually, Dad was a soccer player.
Cheapers.
Honest.
Wow. Yet he still understood that you loved cricket and he would throw balls at you, even though maybe the throwing is not as great. But the fact that he's taking his time to do it, how then? Because my question was going to be, what's going to happen to the parent that doesn't understand cricket?
True.
What am I going to throw at you? No, Dad, I want to throw drives at me. What is drive? Or throw pulls at me. What is that? But you understand? So how then can you then balance that? Yes, your dad was a soccer player. He was in sport. That's what made it easy for him to transition and sort of understand sport in general. But for a father that has got no clue what cricket is about or what sport is, or it's one of those Johnnies that wore glasses in school and could not even throw a stone, for crying out loud. How do we expect that kid to come into the hub setup and still perform? Because they are not getting it at home.
True. So it comes down to if I can say in the hub area, it comes down to communication. It comes down to clear interaction, and this comes down to our awareness as coaches, calling the parents, parent meetings, have them come on board so that they can understand. We know that many of the learners within the townships that we do have, some of their parents work Saturdays, or most of them. And now, some of them might work Monday to Friday or night shift. So Saturday's the only free time that they have to rest. So they won't come out and support the children because they're saying, it's our only day, Sunday's church. So this is where we're saying, it's about having that meeting, parents meeting, inform them. And those that can, we have our good friend now, since all our phones are Androids, we can now go to Google.
Oh, yes.
So
yes.
Google is the key that can help us a lot with bridging the gap of throw pulls, throw cuts, I want to have half volleys.
You'll find it on YouTube.
You find it on YouTube. And this is where we say YouTube can be good, it can be bad. But it's about how we sift that quality. And the players also saying, half volleys, cover drives. This is where we see, and I'll go more to the latest players being your Brevers that can hit the ball. When we come into it and you say your Heinrich Klaasens, your Aiden Markrams, this is where we start working. Temba Bavumas, guys that are there and inspirational role models to our younger youth or youth coming through. This is where we start pushing that content. But we also try and link it also, the township guys from that area in the hubs, we try and link them closer to guys closer in that space by saying, come into here, the club setup, and hear what these guys have to say. Here when they're there, you hear the conversation, sit in there, team talks, listen to the coaches' conversations. So now you start picking up a little bit more information. Parental involvement will be saying, come and join the club. Join clubs, come on board, whether it means you have a tuck shop on a Sunday. These are things, and it's job creation at the same time. We're saying, how are we bringing you closer? Mom or dad might need additional income. Go through, we can make fat cakes, we can make muffins, we can
sell them there.
Sell that at the grounds, make a tuck shop basis.
Yeah.
Coffee. We know we're having some summers coming up. We have some cold summer days in the morning.
And we've had winter, which you wake up in the middle of, you have to be at the ground at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. It's very cold.
True.
Yeah.
And our travelling time now, our time cricket starting is also earlier. So
it's
that
earlier.
coffee is going to go a long way.
And
And
when breakfast roll something, I hear you.
And when we make that and we start creating that awareness, now they start coming to the grounds. Now it's like, hey, mommy's coming to watch me play. So when mommy comes to watch me play, what I
have to
perform. I must impress.
Yeah.
And now it's also mommy's going to say, but boy, I just bought you equipment now the other day. I want to see you use it now.
Use it now.
Now the proud moments come. And there's going to be those moments where you know cricket is a funny game. You fail more than you succeed.
Definitely.
And that comes down to the next point for the soccer one, is that cricket is one that teaches the life lessons. Because when you're on your peak and you're performing, everybody's around you. But when you're going through that dark, rough...
No one. Everyone is criticizing you.
Everybody has a comment. And this is where they start now pushing you down. And this is where your teammates, your coaches, your support staff and support people around you, which is your family, they're the most important to build you up. To say, you know what, you're not worth that duck. You can at least come back and give more. The game doesn't make you. There's always the next innings. How do you come back from it?
Yeah.
And that should alone inspire our learners to then get better, to then go to and have those one-on-one training sessions, or peer learning. Get a friend, ask him to throw balls to you if mom or dad is not there. And now you start seeing that the trust factor starts coming in. And this is where we need to build on more, where we're saying, I need somebody else with me. Soccer, you can play with the wall, you can pass against
Cricket,
the wall.
you need someone else.
Cricket, you need someone else to throw the
Hitting a
ball.
socket, it's boring after that.
Exactly. Because you hit the wall until when. Yeah. So, and the thing is, you can't throw a cricket ball and hit it or ball it. I see my son does that a lot. We've got a small wall at the back there. And he bowls and the ball is hitting and it makes noise. Boom! And he's hitting the wall and denting it and all that. That's why you see that with a soccer ball, you can just put a small pug net with a goal post and he just keeps on scoring. How important is a parent coming to watch a kid play?
Very important. Very important. And that we seen with the Montrose Night Series Challenge that we had. It's hosted by Montrose School. And we had that. And we had that there.
Powers tournament, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
so,
Powers tournament.
And that was at and where Alex got to the final. Alex and CGL Hub got to the final, and they played in there. Alex as a hub, CGL as a selected invitational team, or known as KPT Lions. They got into the final there, and this is where they went through. And we said, you know, from our side, it's two of our development and hub teams.
And this is development teams going against the big guns that have got all the facilities, the coaching and everything.
Everything.
They've got all the resources, and you're getting these kids that don't even know what a physio is are going in. Wow.
And they played in the final, and what we did is we built the build up to it. We said, you know what, we know, yes, it's the final. We know the visiting teams will be there because they're going to be having a closing ceremony.
Yes.
But we want to also give the parents a treat. Let them see the children play.
Wow.
And then we said, okay, from Soweto, we'll get Kumbis to bring the parents through. From Alex, we'll get Kumbis to bring the parents through. And we'll cover the cost.
Wow.
And we did that. We brought them through.
Wow, that's amazing, Brian. That's beautiful, man. Shout out.
Thanks, man.
Wow.
And from there, when learners seen that, it was like performance-wise, their faces lit up. Where
just seeing mom or dad.
It was something different because before, the build-up to it, they have like matches before. The boys were sitting with their parents, and it's something that never ever happened.
Never happened.
And now they're like, but you're here.
Wow.
You're supporting us. And
wow.
even the team talk. So before they went on to it, because I'm there, so I'm neutral, I'm from the office.
Obviously, yes.
So I go and you'll hear the team talks in between, and the guys are like, no, I'd like to bowl today. I'd like to be part of the structure. And this is where you start seeing guys coming out more in expressing themselves. And we're saying our nature of our hub boys, they're very expressionable. Where they come out and they express themselves. They don't play for themselves. They play for the team.
For the team.
And where you see other guys more or less who play for themselves because either mom or dad is looking at the private coaching and things from there. So we're saying how easy that we can then constantly develop these players, grow them, but at the same time expose them to their parents coming through. parents saying, you know what, you're going week in, week out to cricket. What is this cricket?
Yeah.
Let me come and watch and see.
I still remember it was only until I went to Zimbabwe under 19 trials and we were traveling that my parents were like, geez, so this cricket is something else. Then I still remember that was just early 90s. I brought home $22.
Sure.
And to bring that $22 because we had won a tournament and we split the money. So that was my first money to bring home, and I said, Mom, this is what I've got from cricket. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, so this cricket thing is actually bringing something, you understand? So like you are saying, it meant a lot just to hear Mom is there and screaming, yes, boy, Asambe, boy, yes, Talendo, you get it. And it's amazing how such a small thing means a lot to a kid. Mom may not know what cricket is about. She might not even know what a 4 is or a 6 is or a single is. But the fact that she's screaming, yeah, my son, you did well, or yes, my boy, you're doing well, that to me, yes, they got into the final. But the fact that they are seeing the parent there. You know what? Credit where it's due, white parents are always there. Mom and dad and grandpa and whoever are there at private coaching. They are there at the cricket match. They are there at the final, or they lose or whatever.
But that's, yeah.
They are there.
To interject, that's a socio-economic thing. Because as Bryan said, from the township, from wherever, from players of color, generally our parents work hard.
They are working. Yes.
Remember, they stay in Noordgesig, in El Dorado Park, in Soweto.
So for her to live that way,
But they work in centers. So they must leave they must wake up at 4:30.
And using a taxi as well.
You ready for school first. You go.
And to make 8 o'clock.
Or leave you then, and then you get on the transport, and you go, and transport.
And for them to make 8 o'clock,
and they'll
whatever.
be home at 8, and then, even for them to help you with
It's
homework.
tough. It's really tough.
It's really tough.
So it's a massive shout out for the guys to think, let's give the combis to bring them.
Yeah.
Because for the most part, going to Metro Series, it's a night thing. So probably the kid has to be there at 3 or 4 o'clock.
Yes.
Mom is coming back home at 5 or 6.
Mom is only knocking off at 5.
And getting home at 7 or 8.
Catch a cab to town.
Yes.
From town to
you get to breathe. The queue is
cook.
Yeah, because you're still brothers and sisters.
Yeah, brothers that need to eat. Yes. Yeah. So for you guys to come up with such, that was amazing. And in as much as, yes, they won or they lost that final, that does not matter. The fact that I experienced my parent watching me play, that to me. Bryan, what do you guys really do? What do you do at CGL?
Okay, so I'm the Youth and Schools Administrator at CGL now. So I'm there for a year. Currently, for a year now. Before I was the mini cricket coordinator there. So I've also come through the whole process or pipeline of the administration and playing. So for me, it comes from the hub cricket, playing there, going right through playing for your semi-pro teams, academy teams, all of that happened. And then realized that, look, from there, got the education through UJ as well. And then from there said, I'd like to now work into administration or into coaching first. So coaching came in 2009, 2010, but that was more like pocket money while at varsity. And then in between, you're like, okay, but this thing's, you're starting to make an impact in players' lives. As you start seeing the performances as a coach also now, you start seeing players grow, develop. And when you see the boy you're coaching and your team score 50, or he goes through and takes a fifer, you see the elation on their faces. This is where you start connecting with them. Because now it's like, you know what, the hard work that we're doing behind the scenes is paying off now in the game.
You can see it. Yeah, you can see it.
And this is where, so that started building. And then from there I said, look, did the coaching at provincial level under 13, so did the under 13 age group. And then we assisted here and there because of the free time that I did have with the role, because under 13 training only takes place in the afternoon. So the mornings we were free.
You can study and do whatever.
And then at the same time, when you're at the office, you said, okay, I'll assist with the Lions training session, the academy calls. And
that's more experience as well.
So now you start growing and you're adding on information into your own growth.
Yeah.
Because now you're saying at the same time, how do I deal with a player that is either struggling to score runs? How do we get him back to that?
Or listening to that professional coach speak to that player, and the player is saying, I've had a string of ducks.
True.
4 or 5 innings and I can't score a run, coach. What do I do? And just hearing that conversation, I think it's information and experience that you can't buy.
For sure.
You're not going to get that in class.
And even professionals, vulnerability. How vulnerable they are when they're not scoring runs. Because then they open up, and they open up in asking advice. And when they ask advice, it's like, they'll say, what do you suggest? And now you're standing there and you're like, I'm under 13 coach.
What do I know? What do I know? Yeah. So you're actually degrading yourself when the professional is actually, give me advice. What do I do?
And you're standing there and you're like,
you know it all.
And you're like, you know what? All you need to do is go back to basics. Back your skill. Back your ability. And this is the feedback you give them. And you're like, you go back, 4-day game they play and they score runs, and you're like,
thanks, bro. Yeah.
Thank
you, coach.
Did I do the right thing?
Yeah, wow.
And these are the small things that make an impact. And that's what we say as coaches. We need to make an impact. We need to come into that space and make that impact. And with me being that coach, I think that also forced me or pushed me in the line of going to the administration side, the mini cricket side, make the impact. I was there for a year, but at the same time looked at growing cricket. It was post-COVID, in COVID, as COVID concluded and post-COVID, it was how we're going to make the impact in bringing people coming back to play. Getting the children and parents to trust the process of cricket, because it was all sanitized.
Yeah, it was really tough in COVID.
It was tough.
It was really tough. Like the ball has to be sanitized.
Every now and then you'd go like this, and then
you're like, no, you can't.
And then you're like, damn it,
I can't do this.
Or you do it, the umpire's like, hey, wipe
I still remember I was coaching at a school, and I was doing my private coaching there, and literally I had to have a COVID register. So each time, obviously, I'm hourly. So from 2 to 3, I had Johnny. But the thing is now it's going to overlap, because when Peter comes, I need to take his temperature, write it down and everything. Then we carry on. Or then I have to sanitize the ball in front of him so that he can see all the balls.
Do you still have those registers, by the way?
I still do.
I do. I would have burnt them long ago.
I still do. But then, it was really, really tough. So to still have guys that carried on, yes, it's because I make money out of it. I get my salary out of it, and I feed my family off it. But to see guys that are doing this because they love it, I think we are into cricket, or we are into sport because we love it. I don't think we're going to be millionaires in it, but because we love the impact that it's putting. And you said it, that as a coach, you are impacting the next player. So massive shout out to that. There you are through COVID. What challenges did you guys face or before I get into challenges that you faced, how important is mini cricket? Because it's a chaos. It's chaos.
Yeah, but organized chaos.
Organized chaos, okay.
Because at the same time, we're saying at the same time we have to get at least a qualification, an orientation or mini cricket course or certificate or understanding. And this is where CSA comes on board, and they give that for free. It's all about time. How do you then, just go through it's an open book assessment. You go through, you can do the exam on there, but it's about the basis of what is cricket all about. It gives you an understanding and a foundation as a coach.
Yeah.
And as a coach, to impart that knowledge, it also gives you a standing point of how do I understand who is Tats, who is Harry? How do I then also look at you as an individual and not just as an entity of saying, hey boy, I need to know your name. So I create a relationship. And this is what cricket tends to build. It builds that character. It builds a rapport, an understanding of, I know if you come here and you look sad, your face is drawn, I can say, what happened, boy? How was your evening? How was your morning? What upset you? These are the relationships that we want to instill, especially from a mini cricket age, because it means coaches watch. Coaches get to see.
Okay, coaches care.
Yeah,
coach cares for me.
And at the same time, we're saying, as a child, when they look at you, a child is a purest soul. So when they come to you and they look at you, these are the areas that when they look at you and they say, coach, what are you doing? What are you working with? You need to be as truthful and as honest to them as possible, because they will pick up. And they pick up favoritism very, very quickly.
Sure.
that is something that we picked up.
And at the same time, there is Temba or Johnny that is better than Peter. Or Temba is catching the ball better than Peter, and well done, boy, that's amazing. Then, you dropped the catch. Well done, boy, you hit a 6. Oh, you missed the ball. How do you balance that?
So the key part in that, and this we do, so I also do coaching education. So at the same time, what the content that we push in there for the coaches to understand is you're always going to get your better players. But as a coach, what do we do often is we focus on that better player.
Yes.
So what we must do is we take that better player and we pair them up with the weakest player. So we got to be smart also in our approach. So we pair them up, and now, yes, the boy will get frustrated, but in his frustration, he's going to correct the one that is struggling.
Because he's seeing that
He needs to
one.
build him.
And
Or
now-
because he needs to build
He
him.
builds
RPL.
him.
Yeah.
RPL.
So you're actually building the player. Players are building each other.
other.
One is taking responsibility to say, you know what, I'm gonna be there for you, bro.
Yes.
At the same time, I'm like, come on, you keep on missing the ball, man. Come on, just hit the ball.
And it builds team spirit because
Yeah.
now it's a culture that's
It's
there. So now if you're fielding now, you see the better player saying, no, but he can feel that slip, and everybody looks like,
oh, never.
and he's like, no, this boy can feel that slip, and then the catch comes.
And he gets it.
And then everybody is that belief in the team. And that is what we look at in saying, at the same time, in that training session when you're working with them, you then say better boy with a weaker boy. And then what does that do to me as a coach? It frees me up.
Does.
So now I watch.
Because you don't have eyes on the one that's not good. At least the good one is looking at the one that's not good.
True. So now, and then you give that 3 weeks. I guarantee you that boy is equivalent or is be even better,
Wow.
because of the mindset.
Wow.
Now it's the belief aspect, because now he believes I'm good enough. And that's where we're saying it's the softer skills. As coaches, it's not about the technical skill that you're pushing onto them, because they come from a place of understanding. We need to say, how do I work on the softer skills in understanding you, but building you to have the competent skills to execute when you're under pressure.
Brian, you're such a legend.
You know,
Harry, you were saying?
Yeah, just to add, so I think that thing is very key about pairing. So in a football environment, when I was still coaching the semi-professional side in Roodepoort, I had a young man who was shoulders and above everybody else. Platinum Stars are looking to sign him. Very talented.
So it was good.
But it got to his head. So we would do simple training drills, simple instructions. So I would say, okay, cool. We're playing 2-touch. But if this man takes 3 touches, the whole team runs. There's an instruction here, but if this man doesn't, the whole team runs. And eventually, his teammates would go to him and say, listen, mate, we know you're good, but you're costing all of us.
You're costing
You're
us.
not listening to the coach's instructions. This is a team game. We know you are the star, but we need you to rein it in because the coach's plans is for
Everybody, yes.
And once the player spoke to him, he listened. To me, he didn't listen.
Never.
Because he's like, no, this guy is...
And it
he's-
frees
he's
you up,
getting
like
in my shot.
what Brian is saying now, it frees you up as a
Exactly.
coach to then, you can step back and say, okay, who else needs my...
Exactly.
attention?
Because once I started punishing the star man and the team, and I punished the team for the star man's mistakes, eventually the team was like, no, but Chief, you're killing us. It's 2 touch, receive and let go. Why are you taking a 3rd touch? It's receive and let go because in a game, there's no time. So just a quick stat, football. In professional football, decent player or a normal player only touches the ball for 90 seconds in 90 minutes. If you watch football,
90
only
seconds.
90 seconds. If you actually
Touch
watch
and
football,
pass.
touch and pass and move. You're a better player, so your Iniestas, your Messis, they have it for about 120 seconds. You're on all those because the ball is coming to them more often. To
More
make the
often,
change.
yes, yeah.
But it's
yeah.
90 seconds. Out of 90 minutes,
That's
you got 90
nothing,
seconds.
90 seconds.
It's crazy. And after that, they started realizing, oh no, man, this game is not about me.
It's about the team.
Yeah, I know cricket's a little different because
Yeah.
you spend more time in the
Yeah,
crease, but
yeah,
still,
yeah.
once your players say, but Chief, you know what, ne? You keep getting to 40 and you keep playing the same cover drive and you keep
Then you
telling
get
the coach
out.
it's there, but it's not there.
It's not.
You're killing us. Please think about it. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, no, my own mates is crapping
You're
me
right.
Because sometimes when the coach is but this guy thinks
He
you know,
thinks
he's
he's
a
not the
has-been.
one that's
What is he
playing.
telling me? He's
I
not
think,
here.
I think the fact that we
Yes.
think that coach is not playing,
Yes.
so he never understands.
Yes, he doesn't
Unlike
know.
we are in the 11 of us. So if they say I'm crapping it up, I must be really crapping it up. Yeah.
And it hits home. It hits
Yeah,
home much quicker.
yeah,
much
yeah.
quicker. And then
Uh,
you can
bro-
then deal with the rest.
Bryan, going into fine, you said you've been in your role for a year, and prior to that, what were you doing before? Mini cricket, yeah. So mini cricket got you into lockdown. How challenging was lockdown for you to try and maneuver the love of the game and the safety aspect, and making sure that you still bring across? Yes, there's social distancing, but cricket is more it's not a contact sport, but you need to be close to the person to understand them. Yeah. How did that challenge you, and how did you work through it?
To be honest, during that time, so I was dual rolling. So I still did under 13s, and I had mini cricket at the same time. And what I had to do is, we were in a hard lockdown, and it was tough. And I still needed to deliver based on the actual trials and areas that we were busy with.
Yeah.
So it was always to say, guys, we need to make sure that the balance is sorted.
Yeah.
So I resorted to WhatsApp messages, WhatsApp groups, WhatsApp videos. So in my own yard at home, I had to then structure everything, from making my own innovative ideas of how they're going to do push-ups, sit-ups, how to monitor them, how to grow them in that space. I needed to speak to them and say, guys, this is where we need to work on. This is what you focus on. And my sister became my actual videographer.
Wow.
And everything had to be quiet. So I had to tell my nephew, okay, you just stay in the
Please.
house now.
Yeah.
And you have to set up now. Then I'll set up fielding drills. And I'll have to have these cones in there. And I'll have
Because
to demonstrate.
you're under pressure, you need to deliver still.
You still have to deliver. And at the end of it, you know that this is a big break within the individual's growth and understanding phase. But to have that constant interaction. So I got all parents' numbers, and we started.
You have to send WhatsApps, yeah.
And then I said, for them to maintain their development, I needed videos.
So mom and dad have to take a video of him doing push-ups or him
and
catching that
so that I know.
I can see.
But then I needed to buy data, so it showed the data. Hey. But then I said, that was something that I said out of my own. The cost for the data, for the boys' development, will come from me. Because I want to make sure that I leave the game in a better space than it was before. And that comes down to the sacrifices we spoke about earlier. As the head of the space and the head of the under 13 age group, looking provincially and feeding the national setup, you need to say, how do I then also contribute? And contribute in the sense and light of you also giving back. And that I felt was, more rewarding for me, because parents would then engage. They would come and they say, look, I'm building, this is why my son is maybe delayed on it. He had to do online assessments at school because of the COVID pandemic.
But there was so much involvement now.
And now the interaction. So on my laptop, I have all the guys' names, all their files and folders of them submitting what weeks. Wow. So we went for about, could have been 15 weeks.
Yeah.
And I have all that information. So when boys come and they say, look, coach, I still don't know how to do a push-up. I say, go to the initial one. How do your elbows go? Elbows away from your ears, all in line. Wow. And these are the things. So we teach them these things, because under 13s also, it's nothing about weight training. It's all body weight training.
Yeah.
So we start working on seeing their bodies, and, they're going to go through a growth spurt. So we need to also prepare them for that. And looking at that, this is where we start analyzing, seeing the body dynamics and everything. So it was interesting, but it kept me going to a degree where I also got fit. I was fittest.
Obviously,
yeah.
Because I still remember I started a fitness program on lockdown day one, because I needed to be in touch with my kids all through lockdown. Because initially it was 21 days. So like day one, come on, we're doing a live stream, and you do it. Now it comes to, I think, 2 and 3 months into it, and you're like, jeez, I have to wake up. And I still remember I once broke my back because I was moving my table so that I can have the camera set. Then I was just like, crap. Now I've got my back problems and all that. But it challenged us as coaches in as much as, yes, you're trying to do that for the kids, but it was good for us as well. So awesome stuff. What got you to that aspect of saying you want to be there for them video-wise? Because you didn't have to. You understand? Yes, in as much as, yes, you've got the target and all that, but you can sit back and say, wow, I'm in lockdown. What can I do? And it's not my fault that we're in lockdown. The government is imposed. There's nothing I can do.
Army's in the streets. Stay home.
Stay home. Yeah.
No, for sure. And the aspect that came and the thought processes, as we work through, we always say, how are we going to leave them for the next age group? And if that, the break of 3 to 6 months, in that would also create a bigger whole of development, the smaller skills, softer skills, the cricketing skills, and then the knowledge of the game as well. And that would leave us in, as Lions cricket would have left us in a deep and big hole with regards to players coming through. So we're saying, you know what, for the sacrifice of the bigger picture being the Lions pipeline, we need to be as clear as possible in saying how we take the softer skills. How do I then also be compassionate and understanding? Because everybody went through it. I was also distraught with regards
Obviously, yes, yeah.
because you're not practicing. This is your passion also that you're doing. So when it comes to it, you're saying, how do I make an impact? How do I also touch those players that are also feeling like picking up a bat at home, hitting a ball? So now you're saying, what's up? Being a good
Let's
stream,
do this.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's get it going. And when we came back from the lockdown, the boys were ready. They could hit the ground running. And that year we had it's called a geopolitical, which is your normal regional cricket weeks. We hosted one in December, where it's Northerns, Easterns, and Gauteng. And Gauteng clean sweep everything from under 13 through to under 15. And we were like, even Northerns
we did it. We made a difference. Yeah.
And they asked, how did you guys do it in lockdown? We said, we never stopped. Everybody stopped.
Everyone else stopped.
Yes.
And a month away from cricket is a lot. 4 weeks is a lot.
We were actually fortunate because even the season after, we were the only union that was playing club cricket. It was a short season, we were the only union that played club cricket.
Wow.
Because we had guys from other unions coming across
to play. Yes.
We had Mediano coming from Eastern.
Yeah, from Eastern to come play this side.
Because we were the only people that got. I think at the office they forced the green light because we were like, guys, there's so many clubs here. Yeah. We have to do something.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So you guys are talking CGL. I want to talk club cricket. You must take us through his club cricket career. Because on my side, I've played against Bryan a lot of times. This man hits the ball extremely hard.
Far.
No, he hits it hard.
Okay.
The first time I played against Bryan, we were playing on Cecil Payne, is it East?
In
the B field, Cecil Payne.
In Florida.
And I was standing on short cover. I think Ramon was bowling and Bryan hit the ball. The ball flew to the boundary. I looked at Romano. I looked at the captain. They said, these guys are not looking for my safety. I took 10 steps back. I was like, oh, what?
Hey, I'm not doing
I
this.
was like, oh, what? I can't. I was like, oh, what? No one's saying come back. I was like,
I'm not doing this. Yeah.
Did you not see how?
I'm not doing
I'm
this.
moving back. I can't do this. So take us through your club cricket, because I think from myself, we played against each other a couple of times. We have a good rivalry with Delphos.
Yeah.
I know we've spoken about it, but from the club cricket perspective, because I'm a custodian.
That's a custodian. Yeah.
Please tell us about your journey in club cricket.
So club cricket mine is more or less interesting because we had a gentleman by the name of Walter Miller. So I'm from Riverlea. Walter Miller was our coach that would take us through school cricket right through. And he introduced us to club cricket at the ages of 10 years old for me. And I was then exposed to play for Pirates Cricket Club. Playing for Pirates, it was more about the experience, seeing. We played lower league, SU5, SU4 cricket, but it was getting us into that phase. We lost many games, but it was the character building. It was how we come back from it. The motivation, what learnings. We had a senior gentleman there called Alistair McFarlane, and he would constantly sit with us after games and say, what did you learn? So we always had a reflection period. Mm-hmm. And I think as a player, as a young aspiring cricketer at the time, he was somebody that would give us constructive criticism. And he would say, you know what, I think if you applied yourself a little bit more, we wouldn't have lost outright here and there. He taught us how to read wickets. Walter Miller was around. He always used to reinforce with our training schedules, one hand drills, top hand drills, bottom hand drills, how both hands
and those are
together.
important, yeah.
And that was the foundation of my club cricket starting, or the initial phase of it. And then from there, left and went to go and play for Riverlea Cricket Club. So
how old were you then when you moved? Wait, that was that junior cricket?
Yes, junior. So no. So and from under 11 we played already your Sunday leagues against men.
Wow.
So from 10 years old we were playing against men.
Wow.
And this was
what it was like back then, yeah?
Yeah.
Because I started 14 hours.
That is life. For us to say a kid has to be 19 to play club cricket, that's late already,
no,
like you're saying, yeah.
And getting into the space, it was also an additional day that you're playing, because we would play and practice Monday to Friday. Saturday is game time, Sunday we play club.
Sure.
So the whole 7 days
you are busy. Yeah.
And that also, today, people will say workloads. These are the excuses. But at the same time, we're saying it kept us away from the social
From nonsense, yes.
Because now it's the theft. It's now the the robbery.
Because you're always there. When you come back, you're tired. You sleep.
That's the thing.
You go back again tomorrow.
And then you still got homework, so it's the balance. And this is the key in life. We're saying, how do you balance it out? And this is what set that priorities of setting. How do I set my priorities? Come home from school, got to do homework.
Quickly, then go to
training, because training starts 3 o'clock until 5 o'clock. Come home. Because it's 5 o'clock, you can say, okay, you bath, you have supper. By the time you're tired, you sleep.
It's late, yeah.
Next day, it's a repeat. But you know that that's a constant. Parents know where you are, the awareness. If you're not back at a certain time, parents will phone coach.
Coach,
where's my son?
And coach must be answerable because he knows, oh, sorry, we're running late today, or sorry, we had to have extra sessions or whatever. But the parent knows that coach
is there.
And
the thing is, there wasn't WhatsApp that time, so it was always constant real phone calls. Wasn't, WhatsApp phone calls.
You can't send a message and say, no, we are still at practice. Meanwhile, coach is there having a summer leg.
And these are the things. And then from there, I went into Riverlea Cricket Club. We established, that was at the age of 15. We established Riverlea Cricket Club. Played there for a season and a half. Till I was 17. So, and then I matriculated. And then I went to the University of Johannesburg. Went to UJ, went to play there. The learnings from Riverlea was something that we played lower league cricket. So we played in the SU2, SU1 league. But we constantly won that league, but weren't promoted because of our facilities.
You didn't have facilities.
Yeah, and now we say
qualify. You have to have a certain type.
You have to have a certain type. Okay.
So we didn't have a turf wicket. We didn't have a clubhouse. And the costing for that was also at a crucial period because there's nothing.
Because you don't have money coming in because none of those players are playing subs. They don't have a sponsor.
Or even the subs are subsidized.
Subs are,
You're basically getting by.
Subs are subsidized by the union. So when they came through now, it was the 2003 World Cup we hosted here. And that was the one that actually generated funds where they said, okay, it's called a legacy project, and this is the funds will be allocated to Riverlea for the development of clubhouse and
something,
And that is where, and in 2005 they started building, and they got a turf wicket and everything in. But by then I already decided that I'm going to leave Riverlea. I'm at UJ now. Played there for could have been 3-4 seasons, and then I said, okay, I'm leaving UJ. And that was based on opportunity, because they would use you as a yo-yo. And Harry and I had that discussion earlier of how they would then say, at the time we had Stephen Cook in the setup. And
so obviously they're going to look at Stephen Cook more than,
So he would play for the Lions, and then you're good enough to go up. Then you're scoring runs, you get your hundreds and things.
You'll never go up.
And then they say, okay, next week you're going down to...
Because Cook is back.
And Cook is back. And now it's like, hey, and you like a yo-yo, and you're also aspiring to play higher.
And you're working hard in the week to try and score the runs. And
also you can't fight Stephen Cook.
And you can't
Maybe
fight.
You can injure him.
But you can't fight.
Throw a full toss, hit him in the head.
But you can't fight.
It's difficult.
And then I said, no, from there, I'm going to go back to Riverlea for half a season, just to conclude the season. So I left, they went to Riverlea. And then 2007, I decided I'm going to Delphos Cricket Club.
Wow. So you've been with Delphos
I've been with Delphos ever since. And the key part, being a player in there, it was, the things that Delphos, the development side of it, how open they were to the growth and at least opportunity, the tournaments that were played, the LPL that came through there, and the six-a-side tournaments. That is where we started honing our skills. But to come back to Harry's point, it wasn't intentional to hit it so hard, but the motto is...
Did he even see it? He didn't even see it.
As I think other club cricketers can agree with me, Bryan hits the ball hard. I think...
What were you doing a short cover if you know that better is gonna...
No, I'm enthusiastic. We're playing a Delphos tournament. I'm there. I want to chop the batsman. Then I heard... And I was like... Because we're black, so black safety first. I was like, hey, this one is too hot for me.
I'm not doing that.
If this thing comes at me, I won't have time to react.
I would die.
Let me give myself some time. Then I go home and I'm injured. What happened, baby? No, I got hit by the ball. How? No, I didn't see it. How did you see it? There's just too many explanations.
Exactly.
But you must ask Harry first. Did I ask him? Are you sure you want to stay?
Did he ask you?
He did.
At least you cared.
No, he really
for your
did.
brother.
And I was confident. I think I was probably playing some decent cricket at the time.
Yeah.
So I was a big boy. I was
But
bigger than him.
short
I was
cover.
bigger than him, and I was like, no.
Short covers for the missed time, not the one of the straight.
The thing is, I was bigger, but I had quick hands, so I was like, I know this is my place here.
Okay, I'm good. Yeah.
Because it was too late to be at first slips. I was like, no,
I'm
come,
fine.
hit it,
Short
and then he hit it. I
cover.
was like,
Yeah.
I said skipper.
Yes,
I said
sir.
bowler. They kept calling. I was like, alright guys, safety first.
Brian, you've been
And
amazing
just
so
to
far.
add there,
Yes.
sorry. Really, so you know that short boundary.
Yeah,
So I think other members, each club you go to, I think maybe we see it a lot on Facebook, English cricket, whatever. Each ground has its quirk. So Riverley, the square is side on. It's not right behind the clubhouse. It's sort of at an angle.
Yeah.
But the boundary on the left hand side is extremely short.
Okay.
Like if
So top age you go for
if
6.
not even a top mate, if you are on the ring at point and the ball goes over your head,
That's 6.
it's 6.
Literally.
If you're a short cup and it goes over your head and bounces, it's 4
Cheap.
because it's at an angle. So the first time playing there as a young, I was like, why is this thing skew? Why is it skew? So to add, like I think each place has its own little.
It
quirks.
does. Yeah.
That's the beauty of.
I think that's the beauty of having a home game because
you
you know
this exactly.
Yes,
our
yeah.
Randburg Beefield,
Yeah.
it's uneven,
You know,
but I know
but
it's
you
uneven.
know, yes,
Come and
yeah.
face us at our uneven ground. Yeah.
Exactly. Brian, you've been amazing, and we've heard you for over an hour now, and the stuff that you've been speaking about, and I can see my wife from there going, amazing stuff. But before I let you go, I want to touch something that's so controversial, and I've been speaking about this on every episode. How important is quota system, and as CGL, are we doing enough to give opportunity? And by give opportunity, it does not start by just chucking you and giving you Lions clothing and say you're playing for Lions. It comes back to, are we developing you enough from where you are and the facilities and everything for you to be able to be on par with the Lions player or with a kid from St. John's or from St. Stithians that is coming into the setup and boom, they're in academy or they're in strikers, they're going to go into the setup. How important is quota system?
The quota system, and that links now to my current role because it's youth in schools and EPG administrator. So that is also linked to the government setup of how we work on the eminent persons group and balance out the transgressions of the past, of how the apartheid system worked and trying correcting based on numbers, BEE, all of this coming through. But based on the importance of the quota system, we would say at this point in time, it's tending to equal itself out because we're getting black African players that can play.
Yeah.
They can at least hold their own within the area. But what we're seeing is the divide is happening, which is getting slightly bigger, is your township player to your fortunate player or player from your suburbs.
Yeah.
And that is where we get black players now that are also in the suburbs and they're performing. They are good players.
Yeah.
And we're trying to also say, you know what, at cricket and for Lions cricket, we select the cricketer first. So we don't pick
Not
on
the color of their skin.
That is the key part. And that is what we constantly push. And we even developed a selection policy in saying that we select a cricketer based on their skill, based on what we see, based on the performances. We don't select on color. So color is the last aspect to see, does it balance out? Do we have a balanced player that is coming through based on us saying, okay, we have an opening batsman, we have our top 6, these are your roles. So role specific also make up a team of how we then develop these numbers and say, guys, this is where we're saying this is our best team going forward. And then if there's a guy that has a shortcoming, our coaches are there to work with him. Because we're saying, yes, it's now currently we've moved into our trial week. We started with trials today for the girls at Stein City.
No.
And we're saying out of this here, it's identification process because we're saying you should be now, yes, understanding your skill and peaking now or getting into the season now. Slowly, but at least you showing glimpses of what you're capable.
Yeah.
But it's always also about saying what is there, what work has been done in the township. Because your township players are now being seen on one global stage or national or provincial stage, being seen on their provincial stage for that selection. How do we then equal out and say, you know what, a boy from Soweto and a boy from Rivonia, let's have a look and see how we're bridging the gap. And this is where it comes down to coaches. Coaches, how much effort, how much time are you putting into this? Your coaching sessions, your time, are you managing your time well? Are you growing that individual? Are you at least making sure each person is getting the allocated balls being hit? Are you hitting more than 1,000 balls a week? And we know that some boys go to private coaching.
So
they hit like 5,000 balls a week. So that's where we see the big divide. So from CGR's office, it's about holding coaches also accountable on their deliverable aspects. So saying what you sign for guys.
But then, Bryan, I'm gonna give a live example with the Brown Fisher Sports Complex. Very beautiful facility. Indoor, the nets were good, the turf was good, everything there, right? A year later or a season later, everything is stolen, and we still expect a kid from Brown Fisher to still be on par with a Johnny at St. John's or at St. Stithians. How do we bridge that gap? And yes, you are saying that it has to be according to the skill and not the color. We're going to come back again and say, but Johnny is better because he's hitting 5,000 balls. Temba can't because there is no facility. True. So what are you doing in as much as, yes, it's going to come back to, is the team balanced when it comes to demography? It can't be balanced because Johnny is hitting 5,000. Temba is hitting 1
can
or 10.
I jump in before Bryan answers it? The other thing is that, you know, I think sometimes as coaches in general, we're afraid. So, for example, Sfiso at Provincial, who doesn't have all the requirements, when you throw half volley to Sfiso and Sfiso hits that cover drive, you know instantly that this kid has something. But Johnny at St. John's, because he's getting private coaching, he may hit it 3 times as much out the middle. But the first time Sfiso hits it, you know exactly what you've got. And some I'm not going to put the blame. Some coaches shy away from that aspect and go for the safer option.
Before Bryan, I'm going to mention this after Bryan comes in. Yes, in as much as you are saying it's color before, it's skill before color, right?
Hence I'm saying
yes. In as much as Fiso, like you said, hit 1 good cover drive, and Johnny has hit 5,000. Yes, he's missed 1,000, but he's hit 4. And the more he's doing the same thing over and over again, he's getting better. So it comes back again to that bridge, that gap cannot be bridged because Sfiso, the reason why he's not hitting that many balls because he doesn't have resources. And in as much as you want Coach Bryan from Soweto to deliver, how is he going to deliver when he does not even have the facilities to deliver? Whereas Coach Temba, that is at St. Stithians, has got a bowling machine, he's got 10,000 balls, he's got sidearms, he's got, you name it, all the kit that you need to make sure that every kid that he coaches will succeed because of repetitive. How then are you bridging that part?
So you see, the first part that comes into it, when we say it's either vandalized or stolen, comes down to us not including the community. So that is where people then say it's not something we're seen as outskirts from the community and we're not seen as brought into the cricket fraternity. And when we start looking and seeing, and that's why in Dobsonville currently we have an issue with regards to the water flow. We've used people from the community to take ownership, be involved, take accountability of that space. And now we're saying there's also going to be planting of veggie gardens. Wow. So the veggie gardens now have people constantly there. So the awareness and openness that CGL is coming now with is saying take ownership of the ground as the community. Use that as a safe haven for children. Because ultimately we're saying, we want to say children are no longer playing on the streets. We want to encourage them, come to the grounds. Come here, look after. Parents are going to be here now.
Use the facility.
It's
yours.
It's yours.
Yeah.
And now they take ownership of it and say, the nets that's there, we can't cut it and steal it to make soccer goals.
Because it's ours.
It's ours.
It's ours.
We need to look after it. The papers that's laying around, let's pick it up. It's an image of us.
And on top of that, sorry, my son is using these nets.
Yes.
So whoever's gonna steal
So
from
it's
me,
ours.
stealing
It's
from
stealing
my
from
son.
my son.
There we go. So
That's why I said until the community starts understanding that, yes, a kid can make money out of sport. In as much as, yes, not everyone is going to be called to be an engineer or a doctor or an accountant, someone is just going to be called to play cricket. And in as much as I can say I'm going to steal those covers to put on my shack, I'm thinking maybe I'm taking away the opportunity for my child to be something in life. Maybe they're failing to do 1 + 1, but they probably can hit a 6. Yeah. And they understand that the more 4s and 1s that I hit, I'm going to get a 50, I'm going to get 100, I'm going to create a total that we're going to win and win. So until the community buys into it, quota system is going to be tough. Can you agree?
Yeah, I can agree. It will be tough. It will be tough for us to get it from the township. It will be tough. But
of which that's where it's coming from. That quota system is there to bridge the gap between the suburb and the township. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's tough to come from the township, but what it is doing for the learners is it creates now an additional opportunity through our focus schools. So we also have focus schools being Queens and Krugersdorp High School.
Okay.
They're the two that we look at sending our better players from. So we're saying, you know what, if you're not going to then go to a school that is either fortunate within the area, we're saying there's an opportunity for you to
with
go
a
to
government
focus
school. Yeah.
And it's ex-model C schools. So it's all about saying, okay, how do we get them to a Queen's school or a Krugersdorp High School? And this is where we're saying those coaches need to maintain that balance, where we're saying for you to come out of the township, we need to say education needs to be key. We need to be getting good grades at school. So as coaches now, it's also a fine line of saying skill set, because I got to deliver on you as a player, so your selection is warranted. But I also need to look at you as education side, because guaranteed not everybody's going to play for Lions or the Proteas.
Yeah.
But if we create a better person in society that can come back to our community and then plant that value system, this is where we're saying that value system is something that is going to make and change the area in saying, I appreciate the covers. I appreciate whatever small is being developed within the space. That is going to be our impacting place. And say, you know what, make it safe for the next person. Be that person that is the brickwork of changing a life of a next person. And that's where we're saying it's not about developing a person for cricket, but a person for society, a person for life. And that is where we're looking at as Lions cricket to make a change.
Brian, you're a legend, bro. Yes. Even my wife is going. You're gonna go with my wife tonight.
Just to touch on that, I think Brian raised an amazing point. That I think what we've done is that we've planted facilities and resources in the townships, thinking about it from a suburb perspective. Why wasn't it a veggie garden? Why was it a spaza? Why was it a shop?
We were supposed to do it from a Kasi point of view.
Exactly.
The vision.
We put it down. Yeah, we put it down as okay. We put down nets.
Because now, if you're gonna put an indoor facility in the middle of Soweto, they don't know. They don't know why exactly.
No, the thing is, it's never been there before.
Yeah,
so I'm not gonna treat it like a football stadium might last a bit longer. But because it has a touch point.
You're right that we went about it from a suburbs point of view.
I actually didn't think about it till today. That we didn't go the right. We should have opened Ispaza, Amashopo, Amakwi,
that kind of thing. Yes,
let
them sell fat cakes.
Yes, whatever it needs to be.
And the people coming in also understand, because now they will get an understanding of what is the Soweto culture, the Alex culture. Now
not a Senton culture in Soweto.
Now they have and then at the same time we're saying, what is cricket? Cricket is a gentleman's game. Even though ladies also play, but
it's a gentleman's game. Yeah.
So it's the softer skills. It's that also of equipping the players of how do I respect the next person in life, whether it be a woman, whether it be a man, whether it be anything. It can be a laptop, it can be anything that is even inanimate. We can use it and say, I can respect it because I value it to the point of it's giving me service. So,
because like
Brian is killing my wife. Yeah,
we play the game hard. We play the game hard. as I said, I've said some stuff to Bryan before. I've said stuff to.
Yeah.
But once the game ends and we shake hands, it's like, okay, mate,
That's
you want to have
the
a beer?
gentleman's spot, yeah.
Because at that point in time, I'm just trying to get you off your game.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get you out. It's not nothing personal.
That's
I'm
the
doing
whole
something
point.
for my team. The fact that we are talking this nonsense means that you are good.
Yeah,
'Cause
definitely.
I'm not gonna chirp. I'm not gonna chirp on
If
number
you-
11.
Yeah,
I'm
never.
not gonna chirp on number 11. I'm gonna
That
chirp
means
the
you're
top
doing
order.
something right. Yeah.
So I need to get under his skin and make him make a mistake.
Yeah.
You know, and number 11 will make a mistake naturally. Eventually,
Naturally,
after 6 balls,
at
after
some
3
point,
balls, he's gonna want to
at some point,
into this guy. So
exactly.
you know, a top 6, you want to get under the skin. Maybe
Yeah.
you know they're better skilled to handle my good ball, my turning ball. So actually, not let me chat to Bryan. Let me get under Bryan's skin.
Yeah.
Let me ask him about what he had for dinner on Tuesday.
Which comes back to mental as well, because in as much as cricket is about hitting the ball and bowling the ball, is the mental aspect as well. To try and balance that.
That's
To
what these
forget,
young boys are figuring out
forget
now.
the nonsense that happened at home with mom shouting at you and just focus on cricket.
And many of the players use that as a release because of the background. Some players, even in our hub structure, come there for the meal.
Sure.
And they're upfront with it. They say, I'm here
I'm
for
hungry.
the meal. I'm here for them because I know it's a free meal that I'm going to be getting. So when it comes to it, you know, we need to look at the balance and say, how are we servicing the township? How are we adding value? And it might not be based on performances of them winning or them going to provincial cricket weeks or coming to the trial weeks as an area.
That having a meal is good enough.
But having a meal gives them sustenance to go longer, to go home, do that homework, do something.
Wow.
And then when we say, coming back to Harry's point, it's always about cricket is played hard and tough. When we cross that boundary rope, we're enemies.
We're enemies.
But when we
Afterwards,
come off,
hey, Bryan, how's it, bro? Yeah.
and when we come off, that's where we can say, you know what, and you see it in the professional game as well. It's just a pity that they don't air.
They
a
don't
lot of
share.
others.
They don't show that part. Yeah.
Because that is where post games, post the actual game,
That's
they
where
sit together.
yes.
They have a
They
beer.
have a beer. Yes,
And they sit and
yes.
they talk and they're all about the discussions of, you know, how did it go? And then you see it now. The world is being closed to a degree where T20 is played across the world at any given time. So Rabada can be a teammate now with the Steve Smith after the sandpaper game.
Yeah.
But it's all about them understanding that when we're on the field and it's country to country,
We are.
I'm coming.
Sorry,
hard.
exactly. I'm not gonna bore you off volleys. I'm coming at you.
And when we off and we teammates, we can chill.
Yeah,
we can
bro.
talk.
Yes, you can learn from them as well. Yeah,
And that's where we
like,
say-
you played that shot, bro. How did you? What happened there? Like, no, I moved 1, 2, and I saw Rashid Khan do that with one of the Indian boys and showing him the googly. Like, this is how I bowl my googlies, and it's stuff that should be shown on TV, not just the 1 to 20. Let's see them have beer. Let's see them just have a chat. There is so much importance in. You have got, like in the IPL, you've got an international player in Faf du Plessis, and you've got a kid from India that literally was wearing slippers yesterday, didn't have shoes, to be in the same changing room as Faf.
That's why they're dominating the game right
You
now.
understand? Because you are learning so much from him as an entity, not just because how he plays, but how he holds himself. Through failure, success, and everything. Bryan, you've been amazing. We're gonna talk for 2 hours, and I know my wife is like, keep on talking, bro. Keep on talking. The last word for me before Harry goes, Harry, do you wanna go? Then I'll finish.
You
up.
can go.
Okay.
You can go.
My question would be: a wise man once said. Finish that statement.
A wise man once said, don't look to change the world. Change the pieces that will change the world.
Change the pieces that will change the world. Sure. Yeah, Bryan, the intellectual man. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know there was such intellect when the ball went past my head. I wasn't aware.
Yeah.
Look, from my side, it's just a pleasure to have you here. As I said, we've known each other for a while. We've had chats. We've talked about cricket. But this is the first time I've actually known your scope and how you've grown and how you've gone through the game. So I appreciate that. And I think whoever's listening will gain a whole lot more. As I said, I love what we're doing here because we're talking cricket and we're talking cricket at a level that is for us.
Yeah.
And how do we get to the upper echelons? Where are the gates? Where are the pathways? Because I've also, a lot of the stuff he's talking about, it touches me because, you know, I've also had a father my father didn't understand or care for cricket. My mother learned cricket to help me. So my mom can still call me and say, hey, the Proteas are choking
Are doing this, yeah.
Hey, mama, can you see? She's like, hey, these guys are, even back she called, what's Sean Pollock doing? To not knowing a thing about cricket. So we can only hope the game will grow. We hope that, through the youngsters like Powell, who's running Ondela ragged, taking him to games, the mantras, that's where it goes. It's actually the next generation. Because we're technically done.
Yeah.
It's about the Alakes, it's about them not going through what we've gone through, and then just having one leg up and being able to then thrive in an environment, closing that quota gap. So I appreciate you coming down. I think a part 2 will be involved. I think everyone that comes in, it has to be a part 2.
I think everyone that comes through
once the season progresses, because now it's pre-season, once things jump in, we'll chat again and, open it up again and see where we're going.
Exactly. Bryan, what has been your overview of the past 1 hour, 20 minutes?
Sure.
I think, you guys have a good platform here. It's something that, bringing club cricket, tying everything together, working on a basis of saying what is cricket behind the Lions setup, behind lower down, how the pipeline looks. What is it being role players within that space, and also looking at it in administration from that space. How do we then also add that value or that little bit where we're communicating with coaches on the ground, the knowledge sharing, the information sharing. It's not only seen as a business of cricket, but it's seen as a business of learning, growth, knowledge, and that impartment of it. How do we then also disseminate and get that to everybody, being on the ground from the club setup, starting our new season now. New visions, new goals, new ambitions for all the clubs, all the schools. Each individual also has their own goals. How do we then also, as coaches, as people, start inspiring, start growing them, start reinforcing the actual platforms that are there? We need to try and grow that. But this is the platform that they have a voice, they have a vision, and it's about them following. So guys, like and subscribe. It is something good. I think that this is where we need to grow the word.
Amen.
This is something that people will also come out there, and we'd like to see some more club administrators also avail themselves for this to give the inside info of what happens within their club space. So.
Auntie Sharina.
Yeah. Bryan, appreciate your words, appreciate your knowledge, and appreciate you taking time to be with us. And like I said from when we started, that you always knew a person from afar, but you never really get to know them. And it's only until you sit down with a person to understand what goes through your mind, to their mind, do you actually understand the person. My wife is the first time seeing you, and already she's going, this man is learned, this man is knowledgeable and well-spoken. So thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for taking your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having
If you're still here, it's a long episode, but I promise you it's worth it. It's really, really worth it. So stay tuned. Bryan has already told you to like, share, and subscribe, so I don't have to. Here is there as the ghost. Funza is there as the camera. Tia Rafi is there as the social media. Aya is there as the content producer. Thank you to the whole team in making sure that this is happening, and more is coming. We appreciate you. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of your week. As you're getting into the weekend, stay safe, keep believing, and everything else will happen. So let's do this. Cheers.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people